So recently I made a video titled Onision's parents will be sharing their side of the story pretty soon. And in that video, I was mentioning an article by Stephen Assange, who is a reporter at Newsweek and who interviewed Sarah. And that article is out. After years of silence, the father and stepmother of Onision have finally broken their silence. Here's our exclusive interview with the pair and what they've been through over the past 3 decades. But there's some things going around that article that I want to mention real quick. That article was out yesterday, and I made a video where I was reading this article. But then something strange happened. If you don't know this, yesterday Stephen Assange went on Onision's channel to interview him, and after that, the article was taken down for a few hours at least. And Stephen Assange tweeted, and I'm sorry I don't have the screenshot of this. I think I remember the exact quote, but don't quote me on it. He said something along the lines of, the Newsweek editorial has taken this article down. And I saw the comments of it, and comments were just full of people saying, why? Why did you take it down? What happened? Now, the speculation, remember, speculation. I said speculation, okay? The speculation is that Onision threatened to sue them. And in the new version of the article, there are certain parts about Tammy, who is Onision's biological mother, that have been removed. That really portrayed Tammy in a bad light. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I guess what I'm gonna do is I'm going to read the original article, which was not edited, and in the beginning of a section which references a part of article that was removed, I will say this part was edited out. And throughout the duration of the section, I will put this on screen so that you guys know that, hey, this part was edited out. Okay? Are we clear on that? Okay. So, yeah, let's jump into the article, shall we? Oh, and by the way, this article is interviewing Onision's dad, biological dad, and Onision's stepmother, not his biological mother, who is Tammy. Okay? Okay. YouTuber Onision's dad wants to set the record straight by Stephen Assange. In late 2019, Deborah, Daniel's oldest stepdaughter, tells her stepmom about some of the YouTube videos she's been watching. James Jackson, also known as Greg Daniel, or on YouTube as Onision, had been accused of sexually grooming underage women, and an FBI investigation may have been started. Deborah relayed this information to her husband, Randy, who is James' biological father. The Onision channel was started by Jackson in 2006, but gained traction with the viral hit, quote, banana song, I'm a Banana, in 2009, eventually leading to him getting featured on Comedy Central's Tosh. Over the next decade, James would continue posting sketches as well as videos about self-care, suicidal thoughts, and his personal relationships, pulling in over 5.5 million subscribers across his 3 channels. James is currently married to Kai, who identified as a woman named Lainey until March of 2017, and was a fan of Jackson. He married the YouTuber in 2012, when he was 17 and Jackson was 26. So this part was later edited, and it now says that Kai was 18, so be aware of that. The pair have 2 children together, and Kai did not respond to a request for comment. Wielding spurious copyright claims against any videos mentioning him, Onision has become a combative figure in the YouTube community. In recent years, the drama of his life has eclipsed his own content, blurring the line between reality and Jackson's fiction. Jackson's personal relationships have often been the subject of controversy and speculation, with multiple women sharing their story online and in YouTube interviews with Chris Hansen, the former host of MSNBC's To Catch a Predator. Watching Hansen's video on YouTube interviewing the 5 different women who have come forward with claims of abuse and neglect, as well as multitude of commentary channels dedicated to the subject, showed Randy and Deborah what exactly James had grown up into. Quote, "It's hard to watch and hear about all this stuff involving your son," Randy told Newsweek. Quote, "It's hard to talk about, second-guessing if I could have done anything differently, and just wished that things were very different than they are right now. It pains me that this kid has made such a mess of his life." Randy and Deborah haven't spoken to James in over a decade and tried to live their own lives, unaware of the controversies and drama surrounding the controversial creator. They watched him transform from a bright child to a bratty teenager, but have been fearful about speaking up. Quote, "You know what Greg has done to people who have come out and spoken against him?" Deborah said. Quote, "He has bullied them and harassed them for, a year or more. I don't know where he's got it that it's okay to treat women like this or anybody like this. And his fixation with young girls, it's mind-boggling." To set the record straight and get the facts out there, Randy and Deborah speak out publicly for the first time about their relationship with Onision. Early life. Randy met James' mother, Tammy, while they were attending the same college in Tennessee. This part was edited out. The pair started dating and then quickly got married at the end of the school year when Randy was a junior and Tammy was a freshman, and they had their first daughter in 1981. Randy describes that era of working at the University of Tennessee as an assistant pastor in one church, senior pastor at a smaller church, and the caretaker of student center as rocky and a struggle. After Randy graduates with a theology degree, he starts interning in Cicero, Indiana, as a pastor at a church. Their second daughter was born while in Indianapolis, and he admits that he, quote, "stupidly devoted more time to the job than I probably ought to as I was in my early 20s and was pretty much a workaholic trying to do a good job." Once the internship was over, Randy and Tammy moved to Washington State to live with Tammy's parents when James was born. That situation didn't work out, in part because of a, quote, "bad economy," and they moved to North Carolina, where they bought a, quote, "double-wide trailer," and Randy started working for his dad. Randy was then called to parish in southern Indiana, and whole family stayed there for 4 years. Now, this is an important part that was edited out. Quote, "We were supposed to go out west for a vacation with the 3 kids, and Tammy leaves early because I couldn't get off work," Randy recalls. "After being out there for 2 weeks, she filed for divorce. She accused me of adultery, which is ridiculous, and there's no truth to it whatsoever. I tried to appeal the divorce to make things work." Randy claims that he filed a motion which moved the case to Indiana and was eventually allowed to see his kids 6 weeks every summer and call them on Sundays. He has kept all the documents from the divorce in case his kids ever want to see what happened. Quote, "I felt completely beaten down and ended up leaving my job in Indiana as a pastor and moved to Ohio." This part was edited out. Quote, "They didn't want a pastor who was divorced, so I was fired from my church job," Randy remembers. "Tammy was telling them what a horrible person I was. I wasn't the best husband, but I definitely didn't deserve all the crap she was putting us through." In Ohio, Randy restarted his life. He started going to divorce recovery counseling in Ohio and says that they tried to, quote, "create a new normal and get his life together." About a year and a half after the divorce, Randy met Deborah and they married in 1991. "That first summer that I had them in 1990, I had to drive out there to pick them up," Randy said. Quote, "I couldn't afford the plane ticket and just started a new job, so I drove all the way out to Washington State to get them and drove all the way back with them. We had a rental house, visited Kings Island, and bought toys for them and used bicycles. We spent as much time with them as we could." Quote, "I really don't know a lot of things about Greg, but as a young child, he was the sweetest boy," Deborah recalls. "Oh my goodness, just a normal boy that likes to play." Now this part was edited out. The kids returned in summer of 1991, but did not for summer of 1992. The oldest daughter wanted to camp out in Washington, which Tammy said she would cover. Tammy would also not allow any of their children to speak on phone with Randy and Deborah for weeks in a row. After filing a court order to get James and his older sister on a plane out to Ohio, they were informed that nobody was coming. This part was also edited out. All of a sudden, this accusation comes out of nowhere that somehow Randy's youngest daughter had been touched inappropriately the summer before, and it's like, what is that about? Randy said. Quote, we paid for me to get a very in-depth testing done by a psychiatrist out in Seattle, which concluded that I did not fit the profile of anybody who would do something like that. During the court battle, Randy was limited to one phone call a week and supervised visitation in Washington state. This part is not edited out. There were times when we first got married that Randy wanted to give up, and I said no. Whatever those children decide, you are going to have to look in the mirror and say, I fought for those children. Deborah added, we fought to have a relationship with them. We fought to be a good influence in their lives. Over the next few years, contact was sporadic with the kids, Randy said, sending Christmas and birthday presents when possible. Teenage years. When James was 17, his mother sent him to live with Randy and Deborah, and this part was edited out, and custody was signed over. According to their recollection, they originally had no idea why, but later learned it was because James was acting erratic, and according to Deborah, quote, punched the drywall next to his mother's head. They claimed that James was a, quote, difficult teenager who didn't want to follow any rules. This part was edited out. Quote, there were no rules in the house when they lived with their mother, Deborah said. They could do whatever they wanted. This part is not edited out. I told our neighbor, if you see anything strange going on in the house, call the police, because Greg was getting so out of control. Quote, Greg threatened to burn down the house a couple of times when he was going off on some of his tangents, Randy said. Whenever he would get angry and start yelling and cursing and calling us all sort of names, it was just kind of escalating. And so I was afraid that there would be a physical altercation, and that's why I called the police. I told the officers, look, I need help. Can you explain to Greg that he has to listen to his parents and can't do whatever he wants? Still, Randy and Deborah tried to support and encourage James. Quote, that kid was so promising when we had custody of him, Randy said. Quote, we were trying to encourage him because at that point, he started coming up with this whole onision thing. We offered to send him to LA Film School to get some additional training, but he was just too smart for everyone. During James' stay at the house, Randy and Deborah had planned a trip to Nashville, Tennessee, to see his aunt and uncle. The trip was planned weeks in advance, but they claimed that James wanted to head home early to be with his girlfriend that lived across the street. While driving through Ohio and passing by a giant Jesus statue, James is blasting music loud on his headphones. Quote, he was listening to his music and had it very, very loud, even though he said he's listening to his headphones. Randy said, quote, I said, Greg, please turn your music down, and he wouldn't do it. So I pulled off on the exit, I stopped, turned around, and said, Greg, turn your music down, it's way too loud. And that's when he went off. He started screaming and was just going to bolt. He was gonna leave. And so I turned around and unbuckled my seatbelt and tried to reach and grab his shoulders to keep him from leaving. Debbie was trying to untie his shoes, and he was kicking at me, broke my glasses, and bloodied my nose. Passers-by called the police, and James was taken into custody at Juvenile Detention Center. Randy and Deborah hired an attorney to try and work out a settlement to only get him probation. Quote, we never saw him take responsibility except that one time when he's behind bars, Deborah said. And we were sitting with him at the table with guards watching, and that really, it was like it snapped him out of it. He was acting normal, scared kid at that point. This part was edited out. After leaving the juvenile detention center, Randy calls Tammy and learns the reason he was kicked out of her house. James was allowed to leave jail under temporary order and placed under house arrest, only being able to go to school and his new job at Chick-fil-A. Quote, we were supposed to arrange for anger management courses and counseling, but then Tammy started pushing to get him back in Washington state, Randy said. With weeks left until James would turn 18, Tammy regains custody of James and he flies back to Washington. Now this part is still in the article. James has shared his version of the story in multiple videos, ranging back as far as 2009, as well as in his book, This Is Why I Hate You. He claims that his father, quote, choked him while he was sitting in the back seat of the car and that he was just defending himself. Randy outright denies these claims, saying that he, quote, couldn't even reach back far enough for that to happen. And in the new version of the article, it says that James claims that his father, quote, choked him while he was sitting in the back seat of the car and that he was just defending himself. James does confirm that he spent time in juvenile detention center, but denies all responsibility, saying, quote, it's very obvious what happened. I called his wife something, he attacked me, and I defended myself. James also claims in the video that Randy had, quote, gone through his journal and the files on his computer. Randy admits to looking through the journal, saying, quote, we were trying to figure out what's wrong with him. We thought he was on drugs. But denies looking through computer files because James, quote, didn't have a computer. Military years. We did not hear from him for a while. Then all of a sudden he calls and says he's getting ready to go into the Air Force. Deborah said James' older sister had recently enlisted, but she recalls being shocked at the news. Randy and James connect on a few phone calls, sharing financial advice about how his hazard pay could be saved. When James married his first wife Sky in 2005, who declined to comment, his father and stepmother were not invited to the wedding, but they did spend some time together in Washington state afterwards. Quote, the last time we spoke, Greg was assigned to Korea. Randy said he was in military. Quote, he was military police and wanted to change to non-combatant with only 3 months left in his tour. We told him that was a horrible idea, just hang in there and let the military pay your way back. He didn't take my advice. Quote, then a switch flipped and all of our calls, and we can't get a hold of him anymore. Deborah added, quote, but it's not that way. It's just you're ghosted all of a sudden and you have no clue why. We just talked to him last week. What happened? For the next few years, Randy follows the rise of Onision and sees the successful I'm a Banana video go viral, pulling in millions of views on YouTube. Then James started making videos about Randy and Deborah, so he stopped watching. Quote, I consulted with attorneys and asked if I needed to take any action. Randy said, the counsel I got was that he's not mentioning you by name, so you would have a hard time proving anything in court. Randy can't remember the last time he spoke with James and has never seen his grandchildren. Damn, that's sad. But he still wants to have a relationship with his son. Quote, this kid did not have horrible abusive parents who were not involved in caring about his life, Randy said. The only reason we weren't involved is because we were blocked at every attempt. The record needs to be set straight as far as the role and involvement in his life and what we tried to do for him and his sisters. This part was edited out. As of right now, James, his 2 sisters, and Tammy have no contact with Randy or Deborah. Tammy and James' 2 sisters did not respond to requests for comment, and James declined to comment, calling the reporter a, quote, effing parasite. So that was the whole article. That was interesting. That was really interesting. I want to read this out to you guys. The reason why the article was edited. Here it says, updated. The story has been edited to clarify that this is Onision's father's and stepmother's account of their relationship with him, and to remove unverified references to his mother. Yeah, a lot of the things that were edited out were related to Tammy. And if you remove those parts, the thing doesn't really make sense now, does it? And if you remove the references to Tammy, certain things don't really make sense in the article. So that's the reason why I wanted to read the original article to you guys, okay? I think there's an archive version available of the original article. Now, Newsweek never really says that they edited the story because Onision said that he is gonna sue them or something. We don't really know exactly the reason why, but we do know that after Steven spoke with Onision, this was edited. So, yeah. If you go by the original article, it's kind of clear who is the bad person here, you know? Kind of. Like Tammy, for instance. Tammy first accuses Randy of being a pedophile and then just allows Onision to go live with his pedophile father. You know, those 2 things don't really make sense together, you know? Certain things about Tammy just doesn't look good. Now, be aware that this is coming from Onision's dad and Onision's stepmother. Okay, so be aware of which perspective we are looking through. We don't have an objective answer here. Okay, we just have like their perspective. Okay, so be aware that this is the perspective you're looking through while you're talking about this article, okay? Because that is an important point here, because whose perspective you're looking through matters a lot, okay? Okay, so that's it. That's all that I have for this video. Like this video if you liked it. Comment your thoughts down below about what you think about this article, the original version or the edited version, whatever. Subscribe for more videos. My last few videos have been absolute fucking shit because they have been essentially clusterfucks. And I don't like them. I don't even know why I don't like them. I think that's the reason why, because they're clusterfucks and there's just so much confusion and it's still not straight in my head. And I have been playing around with the idea of privating these videos, and maybe I will, I don't really know. Okay, so if you like rank my last 10 videos, my last video is like my number 2 video right now. And I don't like that fact because it's not a good video. It's a clusterfuck, and I don't know why people are watching that video. Honestly, I don't know why people are watching my videos at all. So that's the kind of confusion that's in my head right now. And I know it's not a big deal or anything, you know, but it's something that's there. I'm currently I'm done with Onision right now. My Onision meter has broken. I don't want to think about Onision at this moment. Okay, I'm fucking done with Onision. At this moment, I don't want to think about Onision because, oh my god, there's been so much shit that's been going on. I honestly, right now, I'm just in the mood of eating some really good food and doing group theory. Or watching Nazis get owned on YouTube. You know, both are really equivalent to each other. Group theory and watching Nazis get owned. Okay, that's it. That's all that I have for this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day today. And do not touch your face.